send this recording out in case you weren't able to join us, or if you want to listen to it again in case you get pulled away in the middle of the session. So we are recording the session. And I'd like to, first of all, welcome everyone to our Ask the SQL Experts. I'm joined today with a group of folks from our support team, and we are actually literally today spread out, it seems like all over the place. Like many of you out there, we are working from home. We're really based out of a couple of our offices within Help Systems, but we're even more spread out today because we are working from home. And some of us don't live necessarily so close to the office. I'm Cheryl Quinlan, and I'm the support manager for our great BI support team that includes both SQL and Showcase. And I'm joined today by much of the team that we'll get a quick introduction to as they present their topics. I want to thank all of you who registered, especially those who submitted some questions. We have tried our best to incorporate those questions into our presentation today. We will address some of the questions at the end of the presentation, as well as we're going to reach out to some of you if you were kind of reporting more of an error type question in your submission. Today, we're going to begin by talking about auditing and what a hidden gem auditing is. We'll discuss drill down and the different types of drill down. We're going to show you how to embed results into an email. We're going to pass variables to a command parameter and show you how powerful that can be. Within a script, we're going to talk about using internal variables. Those maybe aren't used that often within a script. And then we're going to finish up with the Excel add-in, knowing that everybody does really like Excel results. Then again, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. This is a 45-minute session, and we should be on target to finish exactly on time. Joining me as our first expert today is Rich Galiba.
Thanks, Cheryl, and good morning, everybody. My name is Rich Galiba. I'm one of the SQL experts on staff today, over 15 years of experience, and the topic I'm going to discuss is the SQL Audit. We get calls every now and then about it, but I'm not sure enough people know that it's even out there, so it's a hidden gem. The host auditing module lets you keep track of viewpoint requests that are run on your system. Once the auditing module is installed and enabled, it will record information about each SQL view, script, or SQL command that accesses records in your database. By keeping track of each request, we can find out things like who is using viewpoint the most or least, which are the peak times or when are the peak times of usage, how much impact viewpoint use is having on your system, and most importantly, what data modification requests were done, and those would include the update, delete, and insert commands. In short, the auditing function gives you a way to monitor your investment in SQL. There are inquiries and reports to help you get the most out of your SQL by showing you where it's being used and how it affects your system resources. Using the query auditor's inquiry and analysis tools, you can effectively manage your query environment. And even though the audit module contains several inquiries and reports that are predefined, you may want to create your own views and reports and present audit data exactly as you need it or export it. Next slide, please. This next slide shows the auditing application, which is part of the Viewpoint Administrator. Viewpoint Administrator is installed with your Viewpoint application, and you can see one of the options within the host auditing or within the administrator is the host auditing function. Clicking on this button reveals several functional items that you use. So how does the audit processing work? There are 3 phases to the audit process: collection, distribution, and analysis. Data collection. All audit information is sent to the OS 400 journal and collected in a receiver. Once auditing is enabled, information is collected about these requests, and each time a SQL data access command like display, execute, report, or insert are used, the job history is saved. The switch that controls the auditing process is kept in each user's default data area, And that first option you see, set audit defaults, lets you review and change the settings for each user. So you pretty much just flip a bit to turn this on by user, and you don't have to audit all the users as you're collecting data. So we have data collection. Data distribution is next. You must periodically run the analyze audit data command to recover the information in the journal receiver and distribute it to the files in the audit database. The manage audit data option you see at the bottom there runs a command that allows you to select whether to add or remove data from the audit database. So you might want to just keep 6 months worth and then get rid of everything older than that. Up to you. The command should be run regularly, perhaps daily, and it can be scheduled through an automatic job scheduling system. So the last audit option here, manage audit data, is to collect the information. Finally, third phase is data analysis, and we give you a couple predefined options. Once information has been distributed to the audit database, the inquiry and reporting programs can be run, and several levels of summary detail are available. Complete detail information can also be acquired for every query that's being audited, and the auditing reports and inquiries are described in the following examples. So next slide, please. So not only do you have predefined options, here's where we're displaying audit data, and the type of audit data that can be reviewed is shown. In this case, the user button is selected, but you can also check by object and job name. These panels illustrate drill down functionality from a user profile to the objects that were run to a command usage summary. So the auditing system collects these details for each request. Start and end time by timestamp for the function is collected. Total CPU time required is collected. The number of I/O operations performed, the user profile, job and job number, the SQL statement view and report name used. So it's important to track back to what objects are being used, and the SQL commands run by the request. So did someone display this? Did someone execute? Did someone report it? And this execution information is retrieved from the job before and after the request executes. So next slide, please. So those are the predefined inquiries, and we also install several views in the SQL library. Here now we're looking at a slide with images from SQL Viewpoint and we're looking at the SQL library for objects that begin with AUD. You can see a list of the views that are available, and these views are similar to the previous consolidated informations or canned reports you saw, except now you could take the view results and export them to Excel or PDF. You can create your own views over the audit data report. There are some prompted views that let you pick various ranges, and certainly you can modify and export the information as required. Next slide, please. So in summary, it's easy to use and it's controlled by user. It's already installed on your system. You don't need another license for auditing. The functions are there, the programs are there, and the access is there. Easy to create output of audit data for annual reports. You can quickly see summarized activity to review what's happening and review product usage. And it's all presented to you in a nice graphical interface, or everything that you see in Viewpoint is also available in green screen. So if you're still comfortable at a command line and running commands or taking menu options to review data, you certainly can access the information in that mode. Next slide, please. So there's more detail about the Viewpoint audit function in the Viewpoint 11 admin guide. I've highlighted the chapter called Host Auditing that begins on page 39. And during the meeting or after the meeting, I can give you a link to this document. It is available from our portal. Just search for Viewpoint 11 admin. And of course, feel free to give us a call if you have any additional questions about auditing. And next slide. So the next slide is, the next presenter is my colleague, Brandy Lulling, another expert in the support group. And Brandy, it's all yours.
Great, thanks, Rich. Hey, everybody, this is Brandy. I have been with Help Systems for almost 16 years, believe it or not, and with the SQL and Showcase team for about 14 of those. Today, I'm going to show you the great options that we have in Viewpoint to drill into your data. So Viewpoint offers two options that are available for drilling into your data. We have dynamic drill down and application drill down. Dynamic drill down is available over any view with a group by statement or any grouping view. And the users are given a list of fields that are available from that view to use for drilling, and then it's all done on the fly. In contrast, an application is a collection of views or script views or tables together with an option file that is created so that the users have predefined paths for their drill downs. So let me go ahead and just show you a quick example of each of those.
So Brandy, as we transition here, I'm going to jump in and say something I should have said at the beginning. We're certainly open to questions as they come up, and if the attendees would like to chat them in to all panelists as we go, or you can wait till the end. So, and Brandy, we are now seeing your screen.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cheryl. And good reminder. Okay, so I've got a view here. It's a really simple grouping view. We've got customer numbers and then just a simple count of the invoices for that customer number. If you right-click on any one of these records, you'll see the dynamic drill down options, regroup and show details. We're going to do show details first. This is going to bring up a list of all of the fields that are available in this view, and it'll allow you to select, like I said, on the fly, the ones that you want to see more information. So, for example, we'll keep the invoice, customer number, we'll select invoice, and just a couple other, just to make it interesting. So we are creating an SQL statement behind the scenes, doing our magic, and then we're going to display the results of that new view for you. Let's bring this over. So you can see up here that I selected this particular customer number, and we have 24 invoices which match. The other option for dynamic drill down is the regroup. So again, we'll right click, and this time we just want to take this information but group it in a different way. So maybe this time we want to see the invoices by order type. So again, we're going to do our magic behind the scenes and run a new SQL statement, and then we'll see our count of invoices, 124, and that matches. A great feature that I wanted to point out for you with a dynamic drill down is you can use the new view to create a new definition. So if you wanted to save this view and be able to run it automatically or run it through Viewpoint, you can do that easily. The other option is the application drill down. Now this looks just like a regular view because that's our starting point. So we're going to pick on, let's see, we'll just right click on this customer number, 100200. And you can see instead of a list of fields, we have our predefined paths. And then the users would just pick which path they want to take, and they just drill down that way. So what we're doing behind the scenes is creating a link between these using the application object and some variables. And then we can keep going if we would like and continue to drill down. Okay. And that's as complicated as it is. It's really straightforward. So if we can go back to the PowerPoint, please. So you can see that both the dynamic drill down and the application drill down are quite powerful and very user-friendly, but they do each have their own place. So you'll want to use the dynamic drill down if the users are familiar with the files in the view or the fields in the view, and they know exactly what they're looking for, or if they need some flexibility for their drill down options. However, if you need to provide more structure for drilling, or the data that needs to be drilled into isn't in the initial view, Or if you want to use a SQL host table or a script view as part of your drilling either from or to, that's when you would want to definitely use the application. So interested? I hope so. I hope you that piqued your interest a bit. If you'd like to get more information, the Viewpoint User's Guide is a great spot to go, or the online help available in the Viewpoint product itself. All right, next up is my friend Simone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simone, and I am a support analyst here for the SQL and Showcase team. And today I will be discussing how to embed SQL results into the body of an email. Are you tired of opening what feels like a million email attachments a day? Have you ever wondered if there was a better way to deliver report results? If you've answered yes, then I've got a solution for you. Today, I will show you how to embed your results into the body of an email using a SQL script or the email option in Viewpoint. Traditionally, a SQL report is delivered via a PDF attachment. However, you can embed the report results into the body of an email using a script or the email option in Viewpoint. In my script example, the report command creates a spool file for the SQL report called custlistr, then embeds it into the body of an email using the HTML format. We recommend using the HTML format over text because text misaligns the results. You can also use the email option for Viewpoint, which is pictured here on the right, to embed results into the body of an email. You just need to add ATT to the message text of the email option. Please note, ATT must be capitalized. And here we have our report results, which are embedded in an email. In the upper left-hand corner, you have the report title, which is also the subject line of the email. The column names are underlined and in bold. Typically, Excel is the preferred attachment option when sending view or table results, but these SQL objects can also be embedded into the body of an email using the print command. In my script example, I am embedding view AR into the body of an email using, again, HTML format, but you can also use host tables with the print command. Remember, HTML is the best format option. On the right is an example of the Viewpoint email option where, again, ATT is capitalized. The results of the print command include title of the view name, a timestamp, and the default company name as it appears on the IBMI. And lastly, we have the execute command along with the esend mail command. The execute command writes the results to the desired location, such as shared network folder or a server, using the toStream file parameter. For this example, I used the temp folder on the IFS. Then the esendmail command sends the results from the specified location. The benefits of using this process is that the toStream file parameter creates an archive of your results, either on the server or the IFS or wherever you sent them. And you can add multiple attachments to the email, such as a corporate disclaimer, multiple results, or a corporate greeting, or you have whatever your desire. The execute command results include a subject. In my example, I use test, but you can use whatever you'd like, column headers, and a view title, which are both in bold. And to recap, whatever option you decide to use, there are two things that we would like you to remember. HTML is the preferred PC format option here, and ATT must be capitalized when using the email message parameter. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jackie Doherty.
Thank you, Simone. Good morning or afternoon to everybody. My name is Jackie Doherty, and I've been with the BI support team for a little bit over 8 years now. And my topic is using a variable in a command. So I'm going to be talking about and showing you how to use a variable in a command. This process allows user input information to be passed to any part of a command string. And you can accomplish this very easily within a script. Then, once you have your script created, running the script is as easy as a single click from either Viewpoint or the SQL web interface. So when would you want to use this? Say, for example, you have a report that is run every day or every week. It's run on a regular basis, and you need to have a way to identify each of those result sets. So you can use a variable as part of your IFS file name. And the IFS file name is specified within the toStream file parameter in a script. And you can even use a default date value, which is especially useful if you're going to be scheduling your script to run automatically. So an example script that demonstrates this would be a simple execute of a view. Then in your toStream file parameter, you specify the path to the folder on the IFS that you want to save your view results to. And this is also where we see the variable for part of the file name. So my complete file name will be customers with the date value from the variable. And on the variable tab within the script, it's defined as an expression type with the appropriate length. And I'm using *no prompt for the prompt text, which means it's not going to prompt your end user for input, because on the default line, I'm specifying the current date. So when the script runs, it's going to look at the default line to grab that date value and pass it into my file name. So if I were to look at my IFS folder as an example, I can see the different view results I have here, and they all have the different dates included as part of each file name. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know you can see it.
I can see it, Jackie.
Thanks. Okay, so here's that sample script that I was referring to. So it's an execute of a view, my library, and view name. PC format can be whatever you'd like. I'm using Excel, XLSX. And here's the toStream file parameter. So I'm specifying to go to the folder called Jackie, and my file name is going to be customers. And here's that file date variable with the 2 ampersands. And then the variables tab, there's that *no prompt and that default value for current date. So if I run this script, I can check my folder and I can see the results I just ran along with other results. So if I needed to work with these, I can easily pick which date I need. So this is one way to use a variable in a command. You can actually use this process for other parameters as well. And one of our most often asked questions that we get in the support team is, how can you prompt for an email address at runtime? So just know that you can also add a variable for the recipient parameter, and then your end user will be prompted to enter in their email. So thank you for listening. And our next presenter is my friend, Bob.
All right, thank you, Jackie. This is Bob Klaprick. I'm with the support team as well, and I'm here to talk to you today about the power of internal variables in a script. So if you take what Simone and Jackie both gave us and kind of add, I'm going to add to that to give you a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can send out in an email using scripts. So in this case, let's say we've got a daily report that we want to send out. And it has maybe an internal list of customers with accounts receivable balances. And in that email, we want to give the end users or the recipients some summary information in the body of the email, such as maybe, well, let's say the accounts receivable balance for the entire company, and maybe the number of customers who owe us money. And then in the subject of the email, we want to put, let's say, the date, just so that the end users have a good reference point as far as what date the report was generated on. And what we might see is something like this. This is a really crude example, but I want to kind of highlight how I get here. So really to get to this point, there's 3 steps. The first step is to define or declare the variables. The second step is to give those variables a value. And then the third is to create an execute command string to run the view, generate the results, and then email those results to end users. So the first step to define the variables, we use a declare function. So I just say declare the variables, and then you can see I've got the variable name, but we're using a variable type of character. And so in this case, we've actually got 3 numeric values, but we're going to treat them as character because that's how they're going to go into the email message. So don't think about where the data is coming from. Think about what you want to do with the data. You want to generate a character string, and you want that string to be, like for the first one, the amount due 12 characters long. So we want a specific length, and we want to make sure that in this case, it's a character type. The second step is to give the variables a value. So we're using the change var command, and again, this is all done in the script. So each one of these is in the script. You'll see that in a minute. You can use a calculation for this. I'm using an SQL statement, and again, very simple, just so that you can see how this works. Creating a sum and then a count and then the current date for each one of those. The third step is to create the execute command string. And an easy way to do this, and really I think it's easy to get, the easy part is to get intimidated by the execute command. And you don't need to be, because we've got a wizard in the script designer that allows you to kind of build the command string on the fly without really needing to know what all the parameters are or what they do. If you hit F4 and F9, you'll see a long wizard. I just gave you a little snippet of for the execute command. It's a huge list of parameters. You don't need to remember all that. You can use it. You can use the wizard and figure it all out. When this is all put together, you might say, well, I know how to do this, and so I can freehand type that stuff in, and maybe you want to do that, but you can always come back to the wizard if you want to check your results or learn new parameters. So Cheryl, on the next slide, yep, we've got the execute command string here, and you can see that just like Jackie did, I'm using a double ampersand on the variables so that SQL replaces that variable with the actual value, and then I've got an ampersand n, and that's basically a carriage. It's an invisible character for a carriage return, so I can build a couple of spaces in between those 2 pieces of summary information in the email message, and then I've got my the date in the subject of the email. So when this is all put together, here's what the script would look like, and from here you can run it. If there's a problem, and especially when you're first creating one of these, this is a great place to be troubleshooting it, because in the message pane down below, instead of seeing that the script completed successfully, you'll actually see the error message and you'll be able to troubleshoot it better. And again, you can always go back to that wizard. So if you find yourself, maybe you type something in wrong, you're not really sure what it is, hit F4 on that line, and you can always go back to that wizard to double check it and see what you did wrong. So it makes it very easy. Just as kind of a review, this is kind of all the things that we just did were to create this type of email message here. So I hope that generates some ideas to make this these kinds of reports more useful and professional for your end users, especially when you add basically the 3 lessons together, what Jackie and Simone's topics and then mine together, kind of hopefully give you a lot of ideas. So next, what I would like to do is introduce Dave for the next topic.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, I'm Dave Gilson. I'm in a support group, and I've been supporting SQL products for almost 25 years. And I just want to take a few minutes here to show you a little bit about the Excel add-in component in Viewpoint. Right now, you have several ways of getting results to Excel. You can simply save the results to a PC file and then access that file. You do have the option from a display to export the data to Excel, kind of like a screen scrape. And you also have an option on a view to simply click on it and say open in Excel. They all have their advantages and uses, but they also share one limitation, and that's that each one of them is only dealing with one data set at a time. And maybe that's sufficient for some things, but maybe it'd be nice to have more than one set of data on one Excel spreadsheet to be able to compare data. So what exactly is the add-in? It's basically a tool that provides a link from your spreadsheet to your Viewpoint views. So instead of pushing the information out, you're in the Excel spreadsheet and you're pulling data in. It gives you a little more flexibility as far as what columns you want to use from your views. So if you have put a busy view and you just don't want to see all the columns, you can pick and choose. It also enables you to combine multiple views in the spreadsheet. So you could do data comparison, store to store, or warehouse to warehouse. And while you're in the spreadsheet, you can refresh data at any time. So you're not working with static data. So the next question might be, how or where do I get this add-in? You may already have it installed, it's hard to say, but the add-in is installed or it's available through the Viewpoint install process. And one of the initial windows you get is whether you want to do a standard install or a custom install. And if you choose custom, you'll see the 3 components that are available to install, and the Excel add-in is one of them. So you want to make sure you check that. And once the install is done, how will you know if you have this add-in there? It shows up in Excel. So the next time you'll put an Excel spreadsheet, you should see a Viewpoint option on the home bar after the help. So I want to take just a couple minutes to actually show you this so you can see the mechanics and see what it can look like. So I first want to create a new spreadsheet to see the basic mechanics and how easy it is. And then I'm going to open up an existing spreadsheet that's got a little bit more formatting done ahead of time.
Dave, we can see your screen.
Okay, good. All right, so here I just got a brand new spreadsheet that I've opened. And I see at the top here next to the help, there is now a Viewpoint option that tells me the add-in is there. When I click on that, I'll get some extra options over here. And the first one is to add a view. So wherever my cursor is positioned, here's where the view is going to get added to. So I'm going to go through this process real quick. Take a minute while it connects. Okay, so I've got my system identified. I want to point it to the given library that I want to look into. Click on the Browse button to get a list of views. I'll just take the first one here. And I have a couple options here as far as whether I want to include column headings or not. Maybe I've already got my headings formatted in the Excel spreadsheet and I just want to bring in data. And I also have a choice here for what columns I want to pick from the view. So if there's a couple I don't want to see, just a matter of clicking on it and removing it from the list. I'm going to keep them all. And in it comes. So I could do multiples of these depending on what positions and what room I need. But one thing I want to point out here is, and if you do this right now with the one at a time, columns aren't always formatted the way you want to see them, and they're not always wide enough to see all the data. So every time you do this on the one at a time basis, you've got to kind of reformat things. The nice thing with this add-in is you can go in there and you can modify your columns to look just like you want. And the next time you open it up and refresh data, the data will fit right in there. All the formatting is done for you. So that's simple enough. Let's look at an existing one that has a little bit more formatting done and actually has some prompting going on as well. Okay, so look in the background, you can see that I've got little bits of data here that are comparing products and warehouses information. And the first thing here is asking me, do you want to refresh the data for this? So right now you can see about the labels in there that this is November data. Yeah, I would like to refresh the data as I go in here. These views all prompt for the same thing, a month. And if I name the variable the same in all the views, I'll only get prompted one time in here, and it will refresh all the views. In this case, with October data. So you have a lot of flexibility in here, and you can, like I said, I've already put in some of my hard-coded labels here, column headings along with it. And while I'm in here, if I want to switch it around and I want to get some new data, I have an option here for refreshing. And you can refresh all the views or just a particular view. I'm going to refresh them all. I should get prompted again. Let's go for a different month here. So you have an awful lot of flexibility in what you see, and you also are able to use this for a comparison basis. So instead of having a huge list of detail and scrolling down, I can summarize these information for a given warehouse or a given store ID or whatever, and be able to compare the stuff side by side. So that's really it. It's quite simple. So that's the basic information for the Excel add-in component in Viewpoint. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. And thank you, everyone, for all your contributions here, and out to our customers. If you have any questions, now's a great time to chat them in. We do have some to start with, and that's what we'll be doing for the next couple minutes, is taking some questions. We did get a great question with our submission of the registration about clarifying the use of local sys and with the syntax parameter. And that was such a good question that I thought I would save that to address in our December email. Hopefully all of you are part of our email list that we do an email every other month, where we try to highlight a tip, usually through a video, as well as information about what's going on with the product and also training information. If you're not on that email list, do let us know, because the next month in December, I am going to be talking about server and syntax. We also had a question as to kind of updating to what's going on with the Viewpoint server. Now, if you use our client reports, which is our like PC-based kind of more little fancier reports, you've probably in the past set up a Viewpoint server. What that allows you to do is to run that report in a scheduled environment, or from a script, or from the SQL web interface from the browser. We do have a new addition for the way those will run, and we'll make the Viewpoint server obsolete in our next version of SQL. Our next version of SQL is due out in the first part of 2021. It's mod 15. I guess that's why I had 15 on the brain. And so look for more details on that. Certainly at the beginning part of the year, we will be highlighting technically how that's going to happen, but we are addressing that need. Then we had a question, and it really kind of ties into what kind of Jackie and Bob showed you with scripts, was can you run a program to create a file, then generate a report through a dashboard? And yes, that's something that can easily be facilitated in a script. A lot of times you need your dashboard to be based off of a work file, not just all the your files, production files. And we can automatically have that script run in your dashboard. User may not even see it or know that it's there, to build a work file that's then accessible to the graphs and to the data results in a dashboard. And we encourage you to reach out to us if you need more specifics, because those are great things. We'd love to help you make sure you get set up. Then we had a question that, as I see coming in, what are the benefits that SQL can provide that the SQL portion of ACS or Access Client Solution doesn't have? And that's a really great question, because near about everything we showed you today, you can't do an ACS with SQL. I mean, SQL is the basis of how we query the data, right? Whether you're using it from SQL or ACS, we make SQL statements to go get that data. But what SQL, and particularly with Viewpoint and then the web interface offers you, is the ability to do more with those results. Sending email, doing the drill down options, passing variables. Prompting is a huge part of SQL that's not offered in SQL without a lot of programming there in SQL to make that happen. And for sure, what Dave just showed you with the Excel add-in is something that is unique to SQL and not to just native SQL or ACS SQL. So there's a ton there. There's more than that. If I wanted to take the time to keep going, we've got dashboards, and of course you have the browser access, and just the overall usability of it for point and click, graphing the results of a view. We could go on and on there, listing attributes that SQL has that just plain old SQL doesn't. But we all love SQL. It's the basis of how we get that data. I don't see too many more questions coming in. Hopefully we've been able to address most of them, and if we missed any, just because it is sometimes hard to read as they come in, we will certainly reach out to you after the session. We want to really thank you, our customers, for taking the time to be with us. I know life gets really busy and it gets hard to attend all of the invites that you get, and we do like to touch base with you and see the familiar names and see the new names. And it's hard to believe that we're looking at mid-November, so I don't think it's too early for all of us to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, especially in this trying year. And the support team is definitely here to help you. You should reach out to us through our portal, which is community.helpsystems.com. You can email us directly to the support team at SQL.support. You can call us. If you get out to the portal, we've got a chat feature that a lot of folks like to reach us. So I would encourage you to contact us as you have questions. So thank you very much for your time. We truly appreciate it. And thank you to all the presenters who made this session so great today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.